Hello everyone and welcome to the special Rat Lab Q&A video for my 3,000 subscriber milestone. Still feels weird that I've even reached this point to begin with. I fully expected to remain a nobody forever, just making videos for me and my friends. So yeah, big thank you to everyone who has decided to stick around and support me in all this. It means a lot, even in the most minimal of ways. It means a lot to me. And two things before we get into the questions here. One, if you're interested in any other content I do aside from videos, I do have a Twitch channel where I just hang out and play whatever video games I feel like playing at the time. So if you want to come hang out, chat with me while I play games and all that, feel free to drop on by, follow my channel, all that stuff. I'd appreciate to have you there as well. And if you feel like supporting me more directly, potentially even financially, I do have a Patreon. The only benefit I have on the Patreon is that if you pay $5 a month or above, you get your name shouted out at the end of my Rat Lab videos. I don't have any other benefits beyond that because I don't want to paywall content. Information wants to be free and all that. But yeah, if you want to support me more directly like that, that's totally an option for you. You're not at all obligated to do it, but it is completely an option for you. Now, on to the questions. Yeah, one question. What's your bank account and routing number? Nice try, Nigerian prince. Nah, but for real, was the first game you ever played? I distinctly remember the first game I ever played being Croc on the PlayStation 1. I was very, very, very young. We had like a hand-me-down PlayStation 1 with a save cartridge, and most of the games that had save games on there we didn't have discs for because it was just a random PlayStation 1 we had. One of the only games that we had for it, that we had the disc for, was Croc on the PlayStation 1. And as a small child, I played that game to death. I had no idea what I was doing playing that game, but I played it to death and I enjoyed it immensely. And to this day, Croc still holds a very special place in my heart. I don't care how bad his games actually were. I hold a very special place in my heart for Croc. What games are you most interested in? FPS, open world, survival, horror, etc. And do you like beans? Well, on the beans front, they're okay. I'm not a massive fan of beans, unlike you, good sir. But, they're alright. Depends on the circumstance, really. Now, as for what games I'm most interested in, well, I might be playing footage of a certain game on screen right now as I'm answering this question, and it should probably give you a good idea. I play a lot of different games. A lot. I'm just into video games as a whole. This medium, this industry is kind of my shtick. But I do have my preferences in general when it comes to media. I'm not that big on horror media in general, which includes games, so I'm not very big on horror games, horror books, horror movies, anything like that. That's just not my thing in general. But I do have a special appreciation for historical strategy games. Things like the Paradox Grand Strategy games like Crusader Kings, Hearts of Iron, Europa Universalis, as well as other strategy games like the Field of Glory games, which are a virtual adaptation of a tabletop war game, and in fact the Total War historical games. I like those too. I like those a lot too. So yeah, I'm into most genres. I have a thing for most genres because I just like playing games in general. But if I want to point one out specifically that I think I have a special appreciation for, it's historical strategy games. And that's mainly because I'm a history nerd and I like staring at maps a lot. In fact, up in my room, I have a picture of the Roman Empire at its height, like a map of the Roman Empire at its height under Marcus Aurelius. So yeah, you're doing great and I'm glad to see you're trying for bigger and better things. Thank you, it's appreciated. My question is, where did he come from? Where did he go? Where is Cotton Eye Joe? Oh, Cotton Eye Joe is long gone. He has disappeared into the ether. He has become one with the universe. He will never appear in corporeal form ever again. Were you ever considering being a full-time creator before you made this channel? I was never really considering legitimately going full-time. I haven't even really considered that now, honestly, because unlike a lot of people, I knew beforehand that it was extremely difficult to even become a mildly relevant creator online, let alone one that can do this kind of thing full time. So I went into this fully expecting nothing to happen, and I still kind of expect me to not really get to the point where I can do this kind of thing full time. If I can, that'd be great. You know, if I could legitimately do this full time, that would of course be like a dream come true, but I'm not like some of the newer generation of YouTubers who went into this being like, you know, I'm gonna make a crazy popular channel and get rich and all this other stuff, get all the sponsors, yada yada, all that. No, I never really thought about that kind of thing before. I never considered it being a legitimate option for me. If it becomes a legitimate option for me, again, that'd be great. That'd be awesome, but I don't fully expect it, and I was never fully expecting it before. The only reason I even started doing this was because I realized I had a bunch of free time on my hand after graduating high school, and then it just kind of spiraled into this. Hey Ratty, hey Hyper. My question for you is, who is your biggest supporter in your journey? Also show us your dogs. My biggest supporter in my journey. That's a bit of a hard one, but the cheap answer is family, obviously. Family's like obviously the biggest supporter for a thing like this. My family has always been supporting me in these kinds of endeavors, right? I've been into video games and computers and all that since I was a very small child, and they have always supported me going in that direction, even when the environment around us was not entirely supportive of it. Where I grew up was very middle of nowhere. You were either into athletics or politics, or else you were basically treated as dead weight by the school system and all that. But my parents insisted on supporting my legitimate interests rather than pushing me towards something that I hated. So yeah, the obvious answer is my family. And your style of video already feels a lot more intimate and direct than most others, but hearing you say a lot of people came from the Doom video rant was just surprising. I don't know why it was surprising, really. I don't really get why that's such a shock. It has almost 400,000 views as I'm recording this. It's got way more views than anything I've ever made before, so you kind of have to assume that's where everyone's coming from. That's where I'm getting all the comments, that's where all the views are coming from. I can even check where people are subscribing from on my side of things on YouTube. But yeah, rants make people click, you know? I literally just discovered your channel through that video, and I've got 2 questions if you're still collecting them. 1, since I come from the Doom video, which is 1 year old now, and maybe more, I don't know. Yeah, it came out about February 2020. Do you think that the situation with game journalism has improved or worsened? Do you think more people became more aware of it? I think people have been far more aware of it for years now. I think people have been aware of it almost since the beginning of like the 2010s, really. That's kind of when people started to turn their backs on outlets like Polygon, Kotaku, all that stuff. And people started realizing that it was all just a scam, and they all talked to each other and effectively rigged their reviews because they all got bought out by the companies making the games in the first place. And in terms of whether the situation has improved or not, I think corporate level journalism has gotten worse. It just keeps spiraling down the toilet. It's practically in a death spiral at this point. These are effectively the death throes of a medium that doesn't realize it's irrelevant yet, or doesn't want to realize that it's irrelevant. Whereas I think independent online game journalism, like on YouTube, is definitely getting better. I think a lot of people are paying more attention to people like TheRatMan, Mandalore, you know, people like that. People who make really, really good, really detailed, honest reviews out there. So I think in terms of independent game journalism, I think it's getting way better and always improving, and it's doing so at the expense of corporate journalism, which is just continuing to death spiral into oblivion. So yeah. Second, I'm hyped, and I gotta ask, do you know about our Lord and Savior Monster Hunter Rise? Are you interested in the Monster Hunter franchise at all? Believe me, I have heard a lot about Monster Hunter Rise. I know some people in some Discord servers who can't shut up about Monster Hunter Rise. My only real exposure with Monster Hunter has been World. I do have a Monster Hunter game on my 3DS that I believe isn't technically a 3DS Monster Hunter game. It's a DS one that, you know, just works on a 3DS because that's how it works. But I have some interest in Monster Hunter. I've never been that big into it though, and that might just be because I haven't had the time to really, you know, invest in it like a lot of other people have. I mean, hey, I'm totally open to trying out Rise when it comes out. You know, it might even be out by the time I put out this video, who knows. But I am totally open to I am totally open to trying it out at some point if the feeling reaches me, of course. So yeah. But anyway, that was all the questions I managed to collect for this little Q&A video. I think it was a good little selection of questions, both serious and, joking. I think it was good. I hope you enjoyed this as well. You got a little insight as to, more of who exactly I am and how I function, in a sense. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I don't really have much else to say other than check out my Twitch, check out the Patreon if you really want to do that. And yeah, I hope you stick around for any future content I make, and I hope you enjoy the ride. This has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later. And lastly, a special thank you shout out to my Patreon. With $5 a month pledge is a sad old man eating Pringles by himself. Thank you for the $5.